Hey everyone, Dan Scott here, where I want to ask a question. Was Paul contradicting James when Paul said that we are not reckoned or justified out of the works of the law, where James said Abraham was justified out of his works? Well, no. The context of works here has to be correctly cut between two covenants, of which the covenant that was given through Moses, the law covenant, was not even established until 430 years after the covenant God made with Abraham. So James cannot be referring to the works of the law as given through Moses according to the covenant. And if you have the DABHAR software, you can quickly search all of the occurrences of the phrase work or works, plural, of, where here it's in the plural, and see that the works of the law, as seen in Romans chapter 3, verse 20, verse 28, Galatians chapter 2, verse 16, Galatians chapter 3, verses 2, 5, 10, as well as Galatians chapter 5, verse 19, all concern the Mosaic covenant as opposed to the better covenant of the promise concerning the works of Abraham according to the faith thing. John chapter 8, verse 39. And as for Abraham and the seed of promise being Christ himself, Paul gives the portrayal of Abraham as the father of all the faithing ones, who also are reckoned as seed according to the sign of circumcision, which was given not out of the law of Moses, but the law of Christ through the law of the faithing, of which our circumcision is non-handmade. And here are all of the occurrences of the phrase work of, where work is in the singular. And we see the context surrounding Romans chapter 2, verse 12 speaks of the work of the law written in their hearts, as opposed to that which is written on stony tablets and black ink. We are here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 3 and 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 11. Paul uses the specific term work of the faithing. Okay, the work of faithing in ability, the ability of the Spirit of God versus that which is according to our flesh, as given through the law of Moses, the works of the law, as opposed to the ability of God for those according to the law of the Spirit of the life in Christ, in every well-deeming of altogether goodness and the work of faithing in ability. Which now brings us back to James and his example when speaking of Abraham's justification out of works, where obviously the context concerning Abraham is the work of the faithing, not the work of the law as a covenant given through Moses, in the law of Moses, but the law of the faithing in the law of Christ. So the empty one would be the one saying, you have faithing, I have works. However, we cannot divide or part faithing from the works, because God is one, and the work of God through faithing is demonstrated or confirmed in the accomplished faithing. So you see, faithing works together with works, okay? And we are justified out of works because our works show the accomplishment of the faithing. So you can't have only works and no faithing, or you can't have faith without it producing works, the works of the faithing. And although I'm sure a very long video could be made talking about all of the characteristics of what the works of the faithing are demonstrated in, it's really the fruit of righteousness, the well-deeming in righteousness, the tiring of love, understanding that God is not finished with the unfaithing ones. So understand, this is how we correctly cut the word of truth regarding works. There is the works of the law, which will not justify the human, and there are the works of the faithing, which will justify the human, of which each one of us will be judged, and each one of us will receive our reward. So understand, it's not a matter of law versus grace, because we who are in Christ are according to the law of the Spirit of the life in Christ. The law of Christ, the law of the faith thing. The law that we're not under the authority of is the law given through Moses, which did not come until 430 years after the covenant got established through Abraham and his faith. That law, the law of Christ. So it's not about works versus faithing, but the work of the faithing. So I hope this helps clarify what may seem contradictory between Paul and James, where they're not speaking differently. James is referring to Abraham in the context of his works of faithing, where Paul speaks the same.